The story begins with Loak and his elder brother Neteyam flying on the Ikran to the floating mountain. It was not real. Loak was communicating with his brother through the roots of Ewa. Whenever he feels lonely, he comes to see his brother. Spider, on the other hand, is now having a good chemistry with Kiri, and you got that right. They will become lovers in the end. Neytiri is still mourning for her son Neteyam while Jake is busy preparing for the next warfare from the drowned ship shown in chapter 2 of the movie. Tonori and Ronald get panicked to see Jake building his weapons cache. Ronald says that those who touch these metal weapons will get their soul corrupted and ruin the balance of nature. Tonori says that they don't need these guns. They just need Toruk Makto, a version of Jake Sully he buried a long time ago. Miles Scorch tells General Ardmore that there's no way on Earth he is backing down from his objective after crossing trillions of miles for this one specific mission. Anyways, come say hi to me on Facebook. Let's talk more about movies and TV series. Jake inside the hut tells Neytiri that he doesn't like the fact that his wife is praying for the safety of Pandora to Ewa instead of preparing for the next hit by training herself with the weapons. She gets heartbroken to hear something like that about Ewa, the same goddess that helped them generations after generations. In the evening, Spider begins to suffocate and faints due to his oxygen battery going down. Thanks to Loak, who finds out the backup breather when Neytiri was standing like a statue knowing exactly where the breather was. She still hates Spider because of Miles Scorch. Next morning, another clan comes to visit the turf, and not gonna lie, the visuals are well baked. It can't be any better than this. They have come with new supplies of foods and other things from their own territory. An hour later, Jake calls in a family meeting. He tells everyone that Spider must have to go back to the laboratory in Omaticaya rainforest where they came from. The whole family breaks down apart from Neytiri. Kiri was extremely unhappy to hear that. She begins resenting her father. After being convinced for long enough, Jake cajoles them to let Spider at least go back to Omaticaya for getting his supplies of backup batteries and then come back. He talks with the elder Navi and boards on their ship with his entire family. Everything was going on perfect until the next day of the journey, the fire clans appear out of nowhere. This is Varang. I guess you already know her from the trailer. Loak's Ikran dies during the attack. Spider manages to take down one of them with 3 bows. Varang sends one of her suicide squad down onto the parachute to burn it down. Neytiri gets hit into her chest. Varang drops Neytiri onto the ground through the jungle. Loak, Kiri, Spider, Took, all of them lose their Ikran and crash onto the ground. Loak runs to the broken airship only to find it already invaded by the Fire Clan. These clan members have zero mercy. They get caught due to the binocular reflection and they start running for their life. Loak takes down 2 of the Fire Clans. Varang gets to taste an unknown metal for the first time. These clan members avoid water as if it's a plague. Loak gets a new idea. He will get back to the same place where they came from but doing a circle so that they can retrieve Spider's backup mask, or Spider will die soon. Jake Sully gets caught by Miles Scorch. He was waiting over there for a long time. Neytiri wakes up. She gets on her Ikran and flees from the spot. Jake tells Miles that if he fails to get the battery to Spider in time, the boy will die in any minute. Miles begins to feel worried. After all, it's his own son and he owes the boy a favor in return. So he breaks his mission protocol and tells Jake to show the way. Spider loses his consciousness after suffocating for a few minutes. When Loak almost gives up on Spider, Kiri comes with the final plan. She takes an Ewa seed, puts it into Spider's mouth, and the roots on the ground begin to connect with the body. The ritual begins just like chapter 1 ending of the movie. After a few minutes, Kiri almost was about to get a seizure and Loak disconnects her from Ewa, ending the entire process. For a few moments, they thought that Spider was dead only to discover him waking up and breathing without his mask. They finally celebrate their success until Varang ruins the entire mood. She gets her hands on the machine gun and says something which made me laugh for more than a minute straight. But first, she asks Spider how he managed to live without his breather. Kiri says that it all happened at the will of Ewa. Varang gets pissed and says, "Will your Ewa protect him if I choose to cut him now?" Kiri realizes that it won't be the right moment for her to get sassy. She then goes to Loak and says, "Show me, human. Show me how to make thunder from this." Like what the hell? Anyways, Loak says that he can't make thunder from this thing because it has got no bullets inside. Jake goes for a guerrilla attack along with Miles by his side, but dude had no idea that he was literally playing with fire. Varang begins controlling the mind of Miles and then keeps everyone hostage. She asks Miles the same thing. How do I make thunder from this? Dude teaches the mechanics with quite enthusiasm. Neytiri comes back to her house in Omaticaya. It has been a long time. While these monkeys begin their ritual, Kiri pulls a smart move. She activates the cactus plants and drops some guys on the ground. They all slip away from the back of the jungle to the nearest waterfall, and it was already too late for Varang to catch them. Neytiri wakes up. She still doesn't know either her children are safe from Varang or not. Miles' courage still believes that Jake Sully betrayed him by mating with the blue monkey that they were supposed to control once. Jake tells Miles that he knows nothing about the Navi people. Neytiri in the morning finds them and Miles slips away from the back. Norm gets surprised to see Spider breathing the Navi air. Spider has grown some kind of biological connector like the Navi people after the ritual. At the same time, Kiri gets to find out the truth about her origin. She was not born. She was created. She was basically a clone of her mother, Grace Augustine, and her seed was planted during the biological transfer in the end of chapter 1 of the movie. She was given birth by Ewa herself. The family goes back to the reef area. Neytiri is still training her despite her injuries. The Sahik has been trying her best to treat her, but she listens to nobody. At night, the head of the Tulkun family decides that Payakan will still be considered an outcast. He has to live in exile. Payakan leaves. Loak mentally breaks down. During an argument, Jake tells Loak something he was not ready for. He says that Payakan was a loose cannon just like Loak himself. He was not supposed to belong to anybody. Hearing that, he runs away from the reef, kneels on the ground, and tries to use every bit of his willpower to pull the trigger on himself. But he couldn't do it. He still has got something to prove. Syria and Kiri come at the right moment to comfort him. They bring back the bow of Neytiri and tells Loak that they will rebuild it for their mother. Next morning, Spider learns to experience his biological connector. I still don't know what this thing is called. Do you guys have any idea? Miles goes to the volcano mountain to see Varang. Dude was ready to risk it all for a few seconds of pleasure. Horny goblin. Anyways, he at first drops a guy with a sniper man of him just to let Varang know that he is not alone in this place. Either she plays nice or she will be dropped too. She takes the man into her home. She tells Miles that there was a time back in the day when her people suffered from hunger and no Ewa helped her in hardship. So, she decided to declare herself a goddess and took a vow that she will turn everyone in Pandora into her devoted followers. She gives Miles a strong shit and it hits the G-spot of his brain. Dude begins to hallucinate. Dude begins falling in love with this woman more and more. And then Miles promises that if she works with him, she will get weapons, comms, and many more things to spread her fire across the planet. She agrees with the offer. She gets so impressed by the man's weapons and technologies that she ends up giving the man a piece of herself. Loak has rebuilt his mother's bow stronger than before. It was his way of showing his gratitude, and then knowing that his life would be at risk, he decides to look for Payakan near the Three Brothers Rock territory. He sails through hundreds of nautical miles to reach his destination. Miles is now on a hunt to find out his son Spider and his enemy Jake Sully. In the meanwhile, Spider was burning in love with his stepsister. The fire douchebags ruin the entire moment and Spider gets kidnapped by Miles' courage. Kiri manages to survive. As the sun is secure now, the convoy begins to close in on the turf. They want only one person, Jake Sully. He goes with them and Miles will spare their life forever. He is a man of his word. He also gives a sample to show Jake Sully to make him believe that he was not bluffing. After a long conversation, Jake decides to yield. He gets his hand cuffed and boards on the ship to the bridgehead city saying Neytiri a goodbye. They land on the city. General Ardmore comes to see what's happening and she finds out that this old man is in deep love with Varang. Dude gets very defensive with General Ardmore when she asks him to get rid of this woman. He says, "General, try not to be a jackass." Spider will now be studied to find out how he managed to breathe the Navi air without dying. Others find out Loak in the location of Payakan. This is when some squids attack them and when Loak was almost about to die, he gets saved by Syria and her two brothers. Miles has brought burgers for Spider. Dude gives no shit about it. He tries to convince Spider that despite the indifferences between them, he respects Spider a lot for his fearlessness and loyalty to his own people. He then gives the boy the dog tag of his human form that was killed in action in the first chapter of the movie. Loak has eventually found Payakan. They also discover another wounded Tulkun. Professor Galvin has been trying to convince these men not to attack these Tulkuns or it will trigger a natural disaster. But who listens to who? Sully is now put in a box. He has been tagged as a traitor by the United States law. He will be sent to America and probably given a death sentence. But Neytiri is not gonna let that happen. Spider actually took the dog tag for using it to open the ventilator. Smartass. Neytiri attacks some soldiers of Miles and takes one of their beacons. In the meanwhile, Dude is having the good fun with the lady. Neytiri is now disguised as Fire Navi. Dr. Galvin gets into one of those big cranes. She finds Varang all alone and asks where is Jake. Varang doesn't answer at first, but then then she agrees to show the way. But this woman was too slippery to catch. Neytiri gets caught and runs back to her Ikran. She burns through the bridgehead city. Dr. Galvin frees Jake Sully. The action scenes in the bridgehead city didn't last too long, so I don't think I need to explain every single thing. Let's just focus on the most juicy turns in the story. When a helicopter finds Jake Sully, Spider interrupts out of nowhere to save him. Spider is an asset. These guys can't afford to lose him. 3 of them run from the city. Jake is now torn apart into his dilemma. He knows that if Spider stays alive and in the facility of General Ardmore, they will find out how to make a human breathe the Na'vi air without needing the Na'vi avatar. If that happens, the planet will be colonized in no time. So Spider has to die. They take a walk into the jungle. Spider had no idea what the intention of Jake was, but the suspense didn't last long. Just before his death, Spider asks Jake, "Do you still love me, Dad?" This is when he breaks. Neytiri stops Jake from doing something he will regret forever. She finally accepts the boy as her son as well. Now it's time for the entry of the Last Shadow. You got that right. The Reef people finally get to see the Last Shadow from such a close proximity. Jake unites every single clan that he has ever known. He also manages to convince the Tulkuns to fight alongside him with the help of Tonori, but only after his children pushing the old man to support Jake Sully. Look at this dude. What the hell is wrong with him? He is drowning in love, lust, desire, all in one. General Ardmore grounds the man permanently, saying that he has been completely distracted ever since the creature Varang came into his life. So she will handle the matter on her own. The war begins right near the vortex. I'm not going to bore you with every single event, so let's just focus on the juiciest turns in the story. There goes Dwayne Johnson from Ohio. The Tulkuns take the first attack on the gunships. Jake takes the lead while Neytiri becomes the second in command. This is when Varang joins the fight with Colonel Miles. Kiri jumps into the ocean to connect with Ewa. When she was about to get a Caesar, Spider joins her in the spiritual connection. Later on, Took, and eventually she manages to reach Ewa and requests for help. Neytiri's Ikran dies again. Oh Jesus. Ronal is pregnant. She gives birth to a boy and then she dies due to her chest injury. Took gets kidnapped. Ewa sends a lot of squids as reinforcement. They start dragging everyone into water. The second wave of help comes from the Ikrans with no riders. Remember this asshole? Yeah, he gets eaten alive by a wounded Tulkun. Spider comes to negotiate. He will leave with Miles with no resistance, but he has to spare Jake Sully in return. But it was a planned ambush. When Varang was about to finish Neytiri, Kiri teaches her a good lesson. I loved every single moment of it. But she is still alive, and she is probably going to come back in chapter 4 of the movie. Miles takes Spider and tries to fly away, but Jake gets hold of him. I'm not going to bore you with every little detail, just like I've said before, so let me just get straight to the main point. Spider ends up hitting Miles to save Sully, and at some point of the fight, Spider was about to fall onto the ground and Miles manages to grab him by an inch. Jake pulls up both of them. When the rest of the family comes, Jake tells them not to hit Miles, and then he jumps from the floating mountain and disappears without a trace. Did he die or did he survive? Well, it can be a whole new theory, but let's finish the story right now. The story ends with a happy reunion where everyone connects with Ewa to meet the deceased members of the Avatar family, and you will see a cameo of Sutei. You know him, right? Also Grace Augustine. Aonang is also dead. I wish I could see my mother like that. Anyways, if you have come this far, come say hi to me on Facebook. Let's talk more about movies and TV series.